What happens when you stop just having a dream and start building a real, living relationship with it? Well, today we're going to explore this really simple but honestly pretty profound idea. And it all kicks off with one small action: giving your dream a name. Okay, so think about your biggest dream for a second. You know the one, that goal you kind of hold close to your heart. Why does it so often feel like it's for someone else, or maybe for a future version of you that's way off in the distance? What is it that creates that gap between where you are now and that thing you want most?
Well, it turns out a big part of the problem is that we keep our dreams at arm's length. We admire them, like they're a piece of art in a museum. We might talk about them once in a while, but we don't get close. We don't really touch them. It's like we're treating them as something fragile instead of something we can actually work with every single day. So here's the big shift in thinking. The issue isn't that your dream is too big or that you're not good enough. Not at all. The problem is the relationship you have with it, or more accurately, the relationship you don't have with it. We just haven't invited it into our lives yet.
So how do we fix that? How do we build that relationship? The answer actually lies in a really personal story of discovery. And it all started with a simple yearly practice that, believe it or not, laid the groundwork for a huge breakthrough. For a few years, the author would choose a single word to be her guide. These really powerful, evocative words like soar, or bloom, or rise. It was a great way to set a direction for the year. But at first, it was just that, an intention.
And then came the game-changing advice from her mentor. The advice was, don't just choose a word as an intention, choose it as an identity. In other words, don't just aim to soar, decide to become the person who soars. See the difference? It's not about what you're chasing, it's about who you are becoming, right now.
And this leads it out perfectly. On the left, the goal is to soar. That's an external target, something out there. But on the right, I am becoming a woman who soars. That's an internal identity. The focus shifts from some far-off destination right back to you in the present moment. So let's see how this actually played out. In her SOAR year, she didn't just hope for good things. She asked herself, okay, what does a woman who embodies expansion actually do? And that question led her to take a huge leap, moving into her own apartment. The action came directly from the identity. And the result? Real, tangible expansion, not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually too. And it didn't stop there. The next year, her word was determined. By stepping into the identity of a determined woman, she took the reins of her family's rental business and grew it from 4 properties to 7. That number, 7, it's not just a number on a slide. It's proof. It's the real-world result of living out an identity.
So you see, these words weren't just pretty decorations on a vision board. They literally became an inner compass, quietly guiding her decisions and shaping her actions, even on the days she wasn't actively thinking about them.
Okay, so she's got this system that's working, this great foundation. But as life does, it was about to throw her a curveball. She was heading into a brand new arena, one that would stir up a whole new level of fear and self-doubt.
The new dream? Investments. Yeah, this was big. And really intimidating. This wasn't just about growing something she already knew. This was about learning a completely different language. The language of money, of venture capital, of seeing opportunities where others don't. And what comes along with a big, scary, exciting new dream? Yep, a very familiar feeling: fear. That little voice that whispers, "Who do you think you are? Do you really belong in this world?" This is that moment. This is where so many of us get stopped in our tracks.
And that fear, it was getting pretty strong. So strong, in fact, that she could feel her emotional connection to this big dream starting to fade. It was starting to feel distant again, just like those old dreams she used to keep at arm's length. The old way of doing things just wasn't cutting it for this new, bigger challenge.
But it's right there, in that moment of crisis, that the breakthrough happens. A simple, almost quiet idea that would completely change her relationship with this dream and every dream after it.
This was the aha moment, a thought that just sort of whispered from within. Give your dream a name. Not as another item on a to-do list, but as an invitation, a way to give it life.
And just like that, the abstract, kind of scary concept of investing became something real, something with a personality. It became Salima Ventures. In that one moment, absolutely everything shifted. So why does this work so well? Because naming your dream turns it from a static goal into a living entity. It gives it a soul. And think about it. You don't just abandon something that has a soul. You nurture it, you care for it, you build a real, living relationship with it.
And the impact was huge. It was immediate. Instead of just pushing herself, she started asking, what would Salima Ventures do today? And that question changed everything. It changed how she learned, how she spent her time, her money, her energy. It totally redefined how she showed up for her own future.
All right, so that brings us to the most important part, you. Because this isn't just a cool story about someone else's journey. It's a blueprint. It's an invitation for your own.
And here's the honest truth. Dreams without names, they tend to stay fantasies. They're just too easy to put on a shelf when life gets busy or hard. But the second you give your dream a name, you bring it closer. You literally breathe life into it.
So how do you actually start? It's really a three-step dance. First, ask it questions. Start your day with that simple check-in. What would, insert your dream's name here, do today? Second, give it your time. If your dream is to open that bakery, then you need to learn the language of flour, of yeast, of business plans. Immerse yourself. And third, invest your energy. Show up for it, even in small ways, every single day. That is how you build a relationship.
Because in the end, this whole practice, it's about so much more than just setting goals. Naming your dream, that isn't just an act of intention for something you hope happens one day. It is an act of faith in the here and now. It's a declaration that your dream is real, that it deserves a seat at your table, and that you are ready to start building a relationship with it, starting today.